Welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast, brought to you by The Draft Professor. The Draft Professor is a group of podcasters bringing you daily draft podcasts and is home to the only dynamic mock draft simulator which allows fans to mock draft against other fans. The Draft Professor Simulator features a first-round challenge, 5 unique one-round drafts. The Draft Professor Simulator features a second-round challenge, 10 unique 2-round drafts. All mock drafts are always picking against the fans and draft analysts which use the simulator. Every mock, every pick, every time. The Draft Professor also features ranked players functionality, where you can rank your favorite players at every position. Optionally, you can add tiers to your rankings to show what round you have the players graded in. The Draft Professor also features Draft a Team functionality, which allows users to snake draft a team of 22 players to demonstrate your my guys, compare player strengths, and discuss draft prospects in a way no other mock draft simulator can. Thank you for tuning in to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. This episode will begin shortly. Well, welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. We are live on this Thursday evening with Jay, Drew, and Ryan. Ryan, this is your first time on the channel. I would like to give you a warm welcome and say thank you.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me.
Cool. And Jay and Drew, you guys were here for round 1 of this mock on Monday. So we are continuing with rounds 2 and 3 this evening. So how you guys doing?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Yeah, glad to be back. Glad to get this mock finished. I've been waiting since was it Tuesday, Monday? Whenever we did that. I'm glad to get back and finish it.
Yeah, it's good to be back here. I know a lot has happened since then, at least for my Colts, in terms of probably would change what I do in round 1, even though we're trying to go for a little bit of a different path than normal mock drafts. But even then, it's already aged like milk a little bit for us, unfortunately.
Cool. Okay. So, and I'm sitting here sharing, but of course, nobody can see the simulator. So let me zoom in just a little bit. That might be a little bit better. So the Browns are on the clock at the top of round 2. They took Shedeur Sanders in round 1. Drew, any thoughts on what you think they would do in round 2?
Yeah, I mean, I think Kelvin Banks is a good look here. You got you need a tackle solution with Jedrick Wills not working out. I know they just signed a guard, so that interior offensive line is kind of fixed. You could also go Ursery. I know I would probably prefer Ursery, but I know the league's a little bit higher on Kelvin Banks than I am. So I think they probably go tackle here. Maybe they'd look at receiver, but I think tackle's probably the pick for them.
Yeah, Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I might even think about pass rusher here. James Pierce Jr. opposite Myles Garrett would be a pretty formidable duo.
Okay, and Jay, how about you?
I mean, Scorton has been my guy for a while, so if we're going edge, I think that would be a really interesting pick for them as well. But, man, offensive line is just screaming out to them right now to be taken. So,
who do you like on the offensive line, Jay?
Well, Banks is my top one, but Ursery I feel like would be a very interesting fit for their scheme, what they're trying to go for.
Okay.
Banks, he doesn't fit like the Colts athletic profile that they're looking for. He just was a little bit under the athletic thresholds they look for in tackles, but man, he was just a very strong tape. I think he only had 1 sack allowed this past year.
So the Giants in round 1 did Travis Hunter. Who do we think they're going to go in round 2?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't have any other quarterbacks going in round 1 besides the top 2 guys, which I know, I'd be surprised if that happened in April. I think teams are a little bit more desperate for QBs than we gave them credit for in this mock so far. I think the Giants probably have to take a swing on one here, even if it's not, what I would do personally. I'm not a big fan of these quarterbacks outside of Cam Ward, but they've done their homework on Jackson Dart. I think he's probably the 3rd guy off the board consensus-wise. I know most people haven't ranked that way, but that's kind of how the NFL seems to be shaking out right now. So I'd probably think Dart right here.
Ryan, how about you?
I'd take Jalen Milroe. Take
I can see
the
that as
big
well.
swing. I mean, see if you can hit a Lamar Jackson home run here in the second round.
Jay, which quarterback do you like better?
Well, sometimes you have to take a swing for a high upside quarterback at the top of round 2. I know Drew knows that all too well with the Titans taking Will Levis 3 years ago at the top of the second round. I think that the Giants follow a similar path. They go for Jalen Milroe, in my opinion. Freak athlete, very great runner, but just very raw coming out in terms of being able to throw the football and kind of diagnose things quickly. So maybe he'll have some better luck with the Giants as some other teams as like a developmental kind of quarterback.
So Drew, this is the Titans pick. It's all you. So you had Cam Ward round 1. What are you thinking here?
Yeah, I mean, this is a great problem to have for Tennessee because you have both James Pierce and Emeka Egbuka on the board. And I think those are both gaping holes for Tennessee. You have to fill both of those. But I think James Pierce is the clear choice here. You have really no starting edge rusher on the team. You don't have a guy there, and you keep James Pierce in Tennessee. I know there's been some character concerns, but I think the talent is just way too much to pass up this value, and especially at a position of that much need. I think Pierce is an absolute home run here.
Okay, so Ryan, this one's going to be all you. So Mason Graham in round 1. What are you thinking for the Jags in round 2?
Got to go with Egbuka here. Give Trevor Lawrence a little help here on the outside. I mean, potential, for a first round guy falling to the second round.
Okay. So the Raiders at 37 took Ashton Genty in round 1. What are we thinking in round 2? We thinking corner?
I can see corners with a lot of great corners on the board still.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Porter is still here. He's just not at the top of the board right now.
Who is? Sorry, who'd you say?
Darian Porter is still
Porter,
here.
okay.
He's not showing up at the top of the board, but he's still available. In addition to Hairston, Revel, and maybe
that's a good group. I think probably Revel's the guy out of this group that the NFL is higher on. I know they're really high on Hairston too, but he's had some off the field concerns as well. So I think Revel probably a first round corner talent who's fallen because of that injury. There's a lot of places the Raiders could go, but I think DB is a good start with how much talent has fallen right here. And I like either Revel, Hairston, or Porter here for them.
And Ryan, how about you?
Yeah, I like Revel too. Kind of a height, weight, speed guy. Obviously gambling on I think it was a knee injury or something like that, but ACL, definitely a potential first round guy.
So the Patriots in round 1 got Abdul Carter. So to me, this has to be offensive line.
Yeah.
The question would be, do you do Calvin Banks, Donovan Jackson? We still have Booker on the board. What are you guys thinking as far as the best offensive lineman available?
It's got to be tackle for me. Yeah, I think Banks, again, might not be my highest rated tackle because I'm lower on him, but I think they don't have a left tackle. There's just a gaping hole there. And I think that's definitely the guy the NFL's highest on out of this group. So that's a slam dunk for them at the top of the second, I think.
Ryan, any thoughts?
Yeah, you don't want to go into the season with Vidarian Lowe starting at left tackle again. So
yeah,
definitely go with Banks.
Okay, the Bears are on the clock in round 2, and they took Donovan Izaraku in round 1. I think this will either be interior defensive line or possibly linebacker if there's one that we like, or possibly corner. I think it's defense. They also, they do need a running back. But
that was my thought. What's the running back group looking like right here at the top of the second? I think we haven't had too many go off the board.
I think we only had 2 go in round 1. The issue is, are the Saints more likely to take a corner, or are the Saints more likely to take a running back?
I don't think the Saints go running back here that early with how many holes they have.
Right.
The Bears, they're kind of thinking luxury-wise.
I would do the core position, let the Saints pick, and then do running back here.
Yeah, especially since there's just so much depth at running back. I don't think you'd have the same quite level of depth at corner. You can still have a very similar tier level running back available to you at the top of the third.
Yeah, for sure. I like if we're going DB here, like I said, I think you really can't go wrong between Hairston and Porter. I think Hairston gives you a little bit more physicality on the line of scrimmage. He's a bigger press guy than Porter is, but Porter's a lot more lanky. He's got probably a higher athletic ceiling. They're both obviously great athletes. I like both of these guys. They're very, very similar tiers from me, very close on my board. So I don't think you can go wrong between those two.
Ryan, any thoughts?
Yeah, I'd go Hairston here for sure.
Okay. Saints in round 1. The Saints took Josh Simmons at offensive tackle. So to me, the Saints need wide receiver. Saints need corner. And like Higgins and Io Manor and Restrepo, Ty Felton, Jack Besh, we're all sitting right here. Ryan, who do you like as a wide receiver in the top 50?
I'd say can't pronounce his last name. Is it Io Manor from Stanford? What is he? I think he's like 6'2", 230, 6'3", 230, something like that. But definitely a contested catch guy. Probably would pair pretty well with Chris Olave if he's healthy. Obviously Derek Carr. Verdict's still out on him, whether he can, still lead a franchise or not. But personally, I'd potentially go quarterback here with Jackson Dart still on the board. But yeah, I mean, if we're thinking wide receiver, definitely go with the Stanford guy.
So Jay, what do you think of wide receiver or quarterback here?
Ooh, well, I've been a big fan of Xavier Restrepo for a long time. However, I feel like with Olave there, if they're banking on his health, Olave has a little bit of like slot availability, and I think that Restrepo can kind of he'd be kind of overlapping that same role. So I'd look more for that bigger outside guy like Io Manor or Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State. Higgins, very big target, but also he had like a lot of physicality and really interesting route running reps that we got to see down in Mobile. I've been really impressed with his tape and going back and looking at that. Besh was probably the best wide receiver at Mobile, but I have a little bit more questions on his tape. But yeah, I'd probably lean Higgins if I had to go anyone, but Io Manor is a close second.
Okay. So Drew, you're breaking the tie here.
If we're going receiver, obviously, I've been a Savion guy. He's the highest on this group out of me, but I know I'm kind of way off consensus there. So between Io Manor and Higgins, I'm a little bit higher on Io Manor just because I think he's a little bit of a better separator. I think he beats press better than Higgins does, or at least has more tape on against press. So I love Io Manor. He's one of my favorite guys in this class.
Okay. So Ryan, for the Bears, are you thinking running back, or are you thinking a lineman on either side of the ball?
I mean, Ben Johnson as the new head coach, got to get a new toy. TreVeyon Henderson. I mean, got a lot of juice and obviously a home run hitter. That pretty sure they kept DeAndre Swift right thus far. Yeah. So would be a good 1-2 punch with him. I think.
Jay, any objections to Henderson?
None at all. The only questions that you have on tape is, can he hold up for a full workload just because of his injury history? But if you already have, someone else to kind of like balance the load with him, Henderson's a slam dunk choice.
Okay.
Ben Johnson's just salivating at that. His pass blocking, his ability in the receiving game. That's an awesome fit for Ben Johnson's offense.
Mm-hmm.
So Drew, the Jets are on the clock. They took Armand Membu in round 1.
Yeah, I think this has got to be either edge or tight end. I think probably.
So like Mason Taylor, Arroyo. Do you like Scourton, Princely? Landon Jackson is still here.
Yeah, it's a close race between Princely and Scourton. I think Princely's a lot more explosive. He's got a lot more bend, but he doesn't have near the diversity that Scourton does as a pass rusher. If we're going tight end, I've been somebody that's a lot lower on Mason Taylor. I like Arroyo a lot. He's super high on my board, but I know there's some injury concerns there. So I would probably say Scourton just because I think the league is higher, but I might pick Princely. But I think if we're going tight end, I like Arroyo. So as far as position goes, I'll leave the tiebreaker up to these two guys. But those are my votes for position-wise, Scourton and Arroyo.
Jay, out of those guys that Drew mentioned, anybody that you like or anybody else that you think should enter the conversation?
Listen, I've been pounding the table for Scourton to go a lot earlier than this, so I'm going to keep on saying that. But
okay,
of these guys that we have left, like for devil's advocate, Princely, of course, he has a phenomenal physical profile that's very, very intriguing at edge. Mason Taylor is just a very reliable tight end with very smooth hands, good separation skills. He's got like enough size where you can see him developing as an inline blocker as his career goes on. Arroyo, probably the most dynamic tight end left, just in terms of the yards after the catch combined with his deep profile. Only problem is that he has a history of knee injuries both in 2022 and 2023, and he already suffered another knee injury at the end of the Senior Bowl. So that's kind of kept his stock kind of in limbo. I mean, the tape looks phenomenal, but it's just such a small sample size, and you have to worry about the knee.
Yeah, I really
and
like
Ryan. You want to break the tie?
Yep, I really like Scorton here. I mean, going back to what was it, 2023, him versus Nebraska, he wrecked the game and almost won it for him single-handedly with him and the other defensive end. So I think they tried to bulk him up a little bit, probably too much at A&M. Tried to make him something he probably isn't. So slim him down a little and let him rush the passer.
Okay. So, Jay, the 49ers took Derek Harmon in round 1. What do you think they're going to target here in round 2?
Well, they could use a little bit of everything after just every single person seems to be just getting out of Dodge with San Francisco in this offseason. I'd say cornerback is certainly a top priority after losing Charvarius Ward. Darian Porter is staring you right in the face right there, and that is very, very tempting for their scheme. Morrison, very interesting. His tape screams round 1, but of course that hip is very, very worrying, and I know scouts are very concerned about it at the next level, especially for corners. A hip injury is just devastating. So I'd say Darian Porter for the 49ers.
Okay, and Ryan, what are your thoughts?
I'd potentially think about safety here with the loss of Hufanga to Denver.
And Watts is here.
Yeah, he is. Yeah. So, I mean, kind of a ball hawk guy. I mean, obviously he's got the ball production to match that. Only question was his athleticism, which I feel like he kind of answered that. So, yeah, I'd go him here.
And Drew, you're going to break the tie?
Yeah, I like Watts, but I don't know that he's really going to be able to fill that same role that Hufanga did as a big physical kind of box safety that he played and kind of immediately go in that role. I think they really have that big hole at outside corner that's kind of worse because at least you had Malik Mustafa kind of come in and play a great safety role for them to be a stopgap guy. I like Darian Porter here a lot for San Francisco. I think that's the pick for them.
Okay, so Dallas is on the clock, and in round 1, Dallas did Will Campbell. So are we thinking this is receiver, corner, or interior defensive line, such as Alfred Collins, TJ Sanders, or somebody else?
I think you're looking between receiver and interior defensive line if I'm Dallas here.
So what receivers would you like opposite CeeDee Lamb, Drew?
Yeah, I mean, CeeDee's an interesting one to pair because you kind of it's kind of a wild card. He plays so many roles so well that you can kind of get whoever you want opposite of him because he can mold to fit whatever the opposite is. So I think you're just kind of going BPA for receiver here. You don't really need to worry about fit. Like I said, for me, that continues to be Savion, but I know that's a unique opinion. Like Higgins is awesome here. He'd be a guy. I think he's probably a big slot that I know is most people have is an X. I just don't know if he has the top end athleticism, the long speed to vertically separate, and the tape against press man is not what I'd like it to be. But I think he could be an awesome big slot. So I think Higgins would be a fun fit for them in that offense. And Alfred Collins is still staring you in the face at interior defensive line too, if you want to go there. Elite run defender, obviously a guy that can really give you what you thought Mazi Smith was giving you that has not turned out like you wanted. So I probably lean Higgins here, but I think Alfred Collins is a great pick as well.
So Ryan, where are you on Savion Williams?
I mean, trying to think. Is he a corner or a defensive
He's
tackle?
the wide receiver from TCU.
Ooh. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, he's kind of the wild card guy, right? He kind of plays some
Yes.
quarterback, and yeah, okay. I mean, definitely not at this point, I wouldn't say.
Not
He's
this
kind of
high. Okay.
he's got some height, weight, speed, but yeah, I mean, Jaden Higgins for sure is the better wide receiver.
Okay. And Jay, you want to break the tie between wide receiver and defensive tackle here?
Ooh. I have Alfred as higher on my board, but I think the wide receiver need is very apparent for them as well. Like Jerry Jones, he likes to splash. He wants to build this offense around that. He wants to try and win a championship while he can. you want someone who can help take this offense back to the next level. I think Higgins makes the most sense for what they're kind of looking for. I love Restrepo, but Higgins feels like the pick for them.
Okay, so Jay, this one's all you with the Colts. So Jihad Campbell in round 1.
Mm-hmm.
What are you thinking in round 2 here?
Well, hindsight is 20/20, and unfortunately, Campbell went out with a injury, a torn labrum, which is going to knock him out until maybe even like week 1 to like mid November. It's kind of like the recovery timeline. But still, we're playing in this scenario where he didn't get injured, or the Colts don't care that he's injured, and they're having this exact board fall as it lies. Mason Taylor makes a whole lot of sense for them if they have this big giant hole at tight end where they just do not have a guy who can be a starter at this point. And Mason Taylor is just very, very pro ready for them. I think it's a very good pick for them to get Mason Taylor to add to that offense.
So the Falcons took Mike Green in round 1. Ryan, what are you thinking the Falcons would do in round 2?
Well, let's see here. I think they had a historic low in sacks last year. So, double down, go Princely Umanmielen. Either him or Landon Jackson, I feel like could really rush it off the edge with some power as well to go opposite Mike Green and his speed.
Okay. So, Drew, what are you thinking here for Atlanta? Knowing, let's see, I think Clint would tell us to look at safety or linebacker or defensive tackle in addition to double dipping at edge. What are your thoughts?
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I feel weird having Xavier Watts fall this far because I feel like he's too talented, but he's also going to really just kind of butt heads with Jesse Bates playing that same role. I'm kind of waiting for a place that's a better fit for Watts. I like doubling down on pass rush, but I think I probably look to the interior after Grady Jarrett left. Alfred Collins staring you in the face. I think he's did he go off the board, or is he just like?
No, he's here. He's just not high.
I gotcha. Yeah, he's probably my vote. I know he's probably not quite the pass rushing upside Atlanta's looking for, but he's just, I think, pretty clearly the most talented guy left on the board at this point. And I think he just immediately injects so much to your front seven wherever he gets drafted. Be my pick here.
Yeah, if they're looking
Jay, you're gonna break the tie.
Yeah, if they're looking for pass rush upside on the interior, maybe Omar Norman Lott would make sense for them as just like that really quick interior pressure. That would be really, really interesting of a fit. But he's not the top player on my board amongst the defensive tackles. But if we're looking for that penetration right up the middle really quick, I think Omar Norman Lott makes a lot of sense.
And do you have Lott high enough on your board to take in the top 50?
I have him at around like the 60 at kind of like 60 to 70 range. So
I like that.
It's not like too crazy of a stretch if you're looking just for bit.
Let's do that and be the podcast that took Omar Norman Lott in the top 50.
There we go.
So we have the Cardinals up, and they took Will Johnson in round 1. Is this an Alfred Collins?
This feels like Alfred Collins. Yeah. You could also look at edge. They need help all over the D-line, but especially that interior is even weaker than the edge group. That's a steal for them here, I think.
Yeah, I think this is as far as Collins would fall. Collins seems to be the perfect fit for Arizona, and whether they take him in round 1 or round 2, I think that's an excellent pick. So Miami on the clock in round 1. Miami took Malachi Starks. Ryan, what do you think Miami would do in round 2?
Took a safety, so we filled that. What do we have available at tackle here?
Cam Williams, Trapilo, Grant, Cornelius. They're
not a ton.
Drew, which one between you and Parker liked Cornelius? That was Parker, right?
Yes, it was.
Okay, I was wondering why I didn't get a reaction out of you. And then, would you take Belton this high, Drew?
Absolutely, I would.
Okay. And where's
I think
Belton
you got to look interior for.
Belton, I have him closer in that like kind of 80-ish range on my
Got
board right now. Wouldn't be opposed to it, but of course it's not quite BPA on the board right here. How would we feel about like going guard potential with them with Booker?
That was my guess. Is Booker? I think they have as bad as they are at tackle. I think you get Patrick Paul last year. Their interior is way worse, and they've shown a massive disregard for that position. And having a guy as talented as Booker fall to you here, especially in a scheme like Mike McDaniel's where he doesn't need his guards to get out in space, I think Booker's a great fit there.
Or if you want just pure like versatility and athleticism, Ray Zabel would be an interesting fit for them as well, where he slides in at pretty much any position, it seems like, from North Dakota State.
Yep.
So the Bengals took Kenneth Grant in round 1.
This is Xavier Watts all day. Has to be. You just get Lou Marino there. They have a gaping hole at safety. Watts has fallen way farther than he should have. That's
okay.
Yeah, I like that.
I like Watts. Seattle, this is the first of 2 round 2 picks for Seattle. Seattle in round 1 went Nick Emmanwori. And like, why is do you guys have Donovan Jackson or Gray Zabel higher? Just out of curiosity.
I got
Donovan Jackson.
Zabel.
Donovan Jackson by a pretty significant margin for me.
So I heard 1 for Zabel. I heard 1 for Jackson. Jay, did I hear you?
Yeah, I'd say Zabel for sure.
And Ryan, who do you have higher?
Yep, Zabel. Just
Zabel.
more position versatility, I feel like.
Yeah.
Okay. Denver on the clock at 51. Denver in round 1 did running back Omarion Hampton. To me, this is a skill player. Whether it's a wide receiver or a tight end, unless we really like TJ Sanders, because they do need somebody in the inside.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. You're looking at either interior defensive line or probably receiver. I don't. Again, I love Arroyo, but that medicals continue to be a big red flag. I don't know if he goes this high. I'm going to keep yelling about Savion Williams, especially in a Sean Payton offense. Sean Payton would cook with Savion Williams. But
Okay.
I think
That
Restrepo
could be
could work
fun.
too. They don't really have anybody in the slot there. Restrepo could fit in well there. I'm a big Kyle Williams guy too. Kyle Williams is like 30 spots ago on my board for me. So I think there's a lot of interesting receiver options you can go with here. Interior defensive line is thinned out a little much for me right here. I'm not sure I could go with that with the talent left on the receiver board. So receiver is probably my vote.
So, Jay, which of the skill players do you have highest on your board?
I'd say I'd go with Restrepo right here. I mean, as much as I know Drew loves Savion Williams, I think there'd be a little bit of an overlap with what Sutton does, or Cortland Sutton does currently at their skill sets. But Sutton does only have 1 year left on his deal. And who knows if they'll retain him or not with how crazy these wide receiver contracts are starting to get now. But I feel like Restrepo brings a very, very good slot skill set, very crisp routes, very detail-oriented. I have been very impressed by his ball skills. He's just a very safe slot guy that you can rely upon to just be your 2A, 2B in your offense and enjoy a lot of underneath success.
And Ryan, you want to break the tie?
Yeah, I'll go with Drew here. We'll go Savion Williams. Feel like that
There we go.
that upside's too much to look past, in my opinion. Feel like you can potentially find the Restrepos a little bit more often than you can a guy like Savion with his.
I know we're going to get reactions to the Broncos fans for that pick. So stay tuned. When it gets posted to Twitter,
Me and Randall can handle it. Me and Randall got it. Don't worry.
So Seattle has done Gray Zabel, and they did Nick Emmanwori. They do need a wide receiver. What kind of wide receiver do we like, or would we go guard again?
See, it seems weird to say they need
guard right here, just because they really need to rebuild that offensive line.
Okay, and Andy is validating the Savion Williams pick.
Thank you,
There
Andy.
we go. So
Yeah.
Andy is one of the Broncos fans that would have chimed in on
My
Twitter. So, Andy, I forgot you were here. I would have asked you who to pick.
Yeah, I think it seems weird to say they need a receiver after just trading for Cooper Kupp, but like that offense is looking really, really dangerously full of slots because you have Cooper Kupp, who really should not be playing on the outside at this stage in his career, JSN, who can't play on the outside at this point. So you're looking at probably Jake Bobo as your starting X. I think you really need a big body guy to play on the outside there. I think you could also double up at guard. You know, with Donovan Jackson still being here, I could see that as well.
Is this Trey Harris?
Or
are you thinking
Kyle Williams, maybe?
Kyle Williams? Actually, Drew, you like Kyle Williams, don't you?
Yeah, I love Kyle Williams, but I think you're kind of just getting another like smaller body in there.
That's duplicate to JSN.
I don't know. I wouldn't say duplicate because I think he can play Z rather than just being stuck in the slot. But I think they need a big guy. So like I would say probably between like Trey Harris. Again, I'm lower on him, but I think he fits that mold really, really well. And the NFL is higher on him than I am. So if we're going receiver, I'd probably say Trey Harris, but I think Donovan Jackson's another good pick here. Double up.
Yeah, I think Donovan Jackson would be my pick. They need to just rebuild that offense completely just to give Darnold the best chance for success.
Yep. So Ryan, you want to break the tie?
Yeah, we'll go. I feel like Donovan Jackson's fallen far enough here. What are we at? 52. Yeah.
Yep.
I feel like a guy potentially an end of round one guy for sure. Yeah.
Okay. So one of the surprise picks of round one was the Buccaneers getting Tyler Warren at pick 19. Right. What are we thinking? Like, I think they would need pass rush. I think they would need corner. And I could also see him going, well, wide receiver this early is – they need a wide receiver, but they don't need one this early.
Yeah.
So
this is edge for me. There? I think you're looking probably between Princely and Landon Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it.
I like Princely more here, but that would be my pick.
What did you say?
That'd be my pick. Is Princely? Yeah, he's the
Princely.
highest.
Any objections to Princely? Okay, sometimes decisions are easy.
Sometimes.
Green Bay in round one did Azare Thomas, the corner from Florida State. They need a wide receiver and they need an edge.
See, I'm trying to channel my Brian Maffey right here and go for the guy that's going to fit. I think both of those guys, both Landon Jackson and Trey Harris, fit those profiles. I think Landon Jackson probably does a little bit more, and that's a bigger need for them. And I think kind of adds some diversity to somebody like Lucas Van Ness, who's just kind of pure power. So I like Landon Jackson there for them.
Yeah, I agree with
Ryan,
that.
Any thoughts?
Yep, I agree with Landon Jackson, kind of more of a base end and provide some pass rush juice.
Okay, so Jay, for the Chargers, in round one, the Chargers took T-Mac. What are you thinking they're going to do in round two, Jay?
Who's the top Michigan player available?
Donovan Edwards?
That's actually, is it an edge? It's Josiah Stewart, probably, right?
Probably, yeah.
That could make some sense there, but
would you take Stewart over JTT or Sawyer or Canale?
I would take him over all three of those. But I don't think they go edge this early. I
like Swinson right at this spot.
I fully agree there. Swinson's my highest rated edge left.
Yeah.
But I think you got to look at interior offensive line for them. And I know we just lost Donovan Jackson, which sucks for them. I don't know what the board's looking like. But
still here.
Zion Johnson was rough for them last year. See, I like him. I like Bo. See, I'm high on Bo, but I don't think he can play guard. I think you got to play him at either tackle or center. And I'm really low on Savaiinea. So I would probably look at Milam maybe here for them. He's probably my highest rated guard left.
Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I get where you guys are coming from with Bo only being center or tackle because he's never shown it at guard for sure. Yeah, I'm not sure at this point.
Jay, you want to add in any additional thoughts? Would it be possibly a tight end like Fannin?
I think Arroyo's really in play here too. I meant to mention that.
I think they could swing for the fences for Arroyo here. That does make a lot of sense. for like just what the type of risk that I think Harbaugh would be willing to go for.
Yep. And he's pretty high on the board.
That would be a very dynamic. If he's healthy and on the field, Herbert is not going to have the same problems as
dude. T-Mac, Arroyo, and McConkey for Herbert. That's an awesome core.
Okay, so we will do Arroyo to the Chargers. So I am on the clock for Buffalo. Buffalo in round one to Matthew Golden, I believe.
I think so.
So
Paulson right there.
Yeah. So am I that predictable?
I think so. Yeah.
So there's two guys, and I'm thinking that whichever one I don't pick, Carolina's going to snipe. But Buffalo needs interior defensive line more than they need a linebacker. Right now, I love Chris Paul. The channel has interviewed Chris Paul. So this is not a knock on Chris Paul, but I have to do interior defensive line. It is a bigger need than linebacker. So Alfred Collins was already off the board. Was Tyleek, and I think Tyleek Williams was also off the board. So I would have preferred to grab a 3 or a 1 tech there, but at minimum, we get a talented player on the defensive line room. The Panthers are on the clock. In round one, the Panthers, I believe, took Shamar. Yeah, they took Shamar Stewart.
See, I think you nailed it. It's just that if Buffalo doesn't take Pooh Paul right there, that's got to be the Panthers at the next pick.
So I mean, we've seen Pooh
so.
Paul here how many times?
A billion. I'm just trying to help Cole out here.
Yeah. So let's just hook Cole up because Pooh Paul is Cole's guy.
Westinger's still there though. That's
yeah. Okay. So Brandon, the Texans are up. Brandon in the chat is a Texans fan. In round one, they took Josh Connerly. So while Brandon might be brainstorming who he's picking, what are you guys thinking? I'm thinking wide receiver.
I think you might have to double up on O-line. Yeah. That O-line is so bad.
Yeah, I was going to say.
DJ Stroud. No,
probably Milam here for me too.
Tank, you have no idea what's going to happen with his knee and his future. You got Nico for sure, but then outside of that, there's a little bit of a question with like Mechie, with Woods. I'd say
receivers a fair shot too. I think that's just as likely.
So Fannon's here. Do you think this is Fannin, or would you like a wide receiver more than Fannin?
If it was up to me, we won't take Fannin until Sunday.
Sorry, Harold.
So you said wide receiver. So Brandon, would you like Isaiah Bond, Trey Harris, Xavier Restrepo, Jack Besh, Torrey Horton, Jalen Royals is still here, Noel is still here, Ricky White is still here.
That Besh fit is fun.
Yeah, I actually like Besh as well there.
Gives you a very, very different skill set compared to everybody else there.
And as some people have pointed out that they think Besh and Fannin are the same position.
Good old Max. Max is kind of nails that kind of stuff, man. He's totally right. And Besh is a lot better at that position than Fannin is for whatever it's worth.
So, Brandon, any objections if it's Jack Besh? Going once? Going twice?
Or do you just really are screaming at us, get some offensive line?
So, we will go Besh.
There we go.
Ravens are on the clock.
Ooh.
And the Ravens in round one did Jalen Walker, the linebacker.
God, I forgot he fell that far.
Is this Milam?
This very well could be. They need to bolster that interior offensive line some. I don't get a bad Senior Bowl, but I still think the tape's pretty good. I like Milam here.
Ryan, any other thoughts?
I'd like potentially Tate Ratledge here as a guard.
Yeah, too.
I feel like he's got a lot of potential to be potentially a Pro Bowl guy down the line. And I'm pretty sure they lost the other guy they drafted from Georgia here a couple years ago already, didn't they? What's his name?
And Jay, who do you like between Milam and Ratledge?
I'd probably go Milam. Yeah, I got mine a little bit higher on my board, but kind of around this area. So,
Okay. So the Lions in round 1, the Lions took
Michael,
Michael
right?
Williams.
This feels like Bo to me.
Ooh, I
He's
like
been locked
that
there a
pick.
lot. They
I
need
like
offensive
that pick.
line. They just lost Kevin Zeitler. We just talked about him not being guard, but I think he has flexibility. I think you could try him there. But they also, you got to look to the future at tackle, opposite of Penei Sewell. That's kind of a question mark as well. Frank Ragnow's getting older. They had Christian Mahogany kind of start to emerge towards the end of the year, but I don't know if you can really bank on that. And Bo's the highest rated lineman left for me, or Logan Brown is, but that's another one of my guys. So in terms of consensus, like being close to it, I think Bo is probably the pick here.
And Jay, any thoughts on Bo? Any objections?
none whatsoever. I've seen a lot of his Purdue tape. I'd be absolutely down there and go to the Lions.
Okay. And Ryan, any objections?
Nope, I like Bo here for sure.
Okay, so the Commanders in round 1, they took Jahdae Barron. This feels like edge or line to me. Well, no, but they don't need interior. They just signed 2 free agents. This to me is a pass rusher.
Yeah, I could see edge here. Like Braden Swinson feels like he's fallen too far.
Yeah.
For me, I'm really high on him.
Yep.
So I think you just really completely overhaul the defensive unit. I could also see receiver here because I don't think Debo is as big of a factor as people are saying he is. But I think Swinson's awesome value here.
Ryan, any thoughts?
Yeah, I like bringing in Swinson for sure.
Okay, so let's do Swinson. We are back to Buffalo. So Buffalo has done Golden. Then they did TJ Sanders. JTT maybe.
Oof. I like Jordan Burch in Buffalo so much. He's an awesome fit for them.
Yeah.
He's a little bit lower than where we are on my board right now, but like he's just he is like him and Jared Ivey are their type of edges.
Well, and I was thinking because so here's the issue, right? Buffalo has no 3rd round pick. So if we don't do an edge here, the board would look a lot thinner, but Savi and Jones, like if I were to look here and just say, okay, out of the edges that you see from 110 up to 36, I would take just about any of them in round 4. They all won't be there, but one of them should. So, and then there's a part of me that says, okay, James Cook. I'm going to go Quinshon Judkins here.
Over Caleb. Wow. Interesting.
So I don't know that Caleb fits what Buffalo does.
Does he not? Okay. Interesting.
Do they not run like a lot of inside zone kind of concepts?
So Buffalo tends to be multiple. I think the bigger issue is Caleb Johnson isn't as multidimensional, I'm thinking, as Judkins. So running back is tempting me here, but the running back's not going to see the field because we
I'm a
also
bad
took
person.
picks last year.
I'm a bad person to ask about Judkins. He's my RB15, so I'm a lot lower on him than most. But I love Noah Williams and Jacob Parrish are my favorites out of this group too. I'm a lot higher on those guys than most. I love those two.
So do you think Parrish can play boundary?
No, I don't. I think he's a nickel.
Yeah, so we have an all-pro slot. So
Yeah, you got Teron Johnson there. So.
yeah. So let's see. What's the safety? Well, okay. So what's the safety board look like?
Mukuba.
I like Winston and Makuba here.
Winston is tempting. I'm going to be different. I'm going to take Winston.
All right.
I like it.
Yep. That one took too long. Chiefs.
Okay,
Chiefs.
right? Yeah, that was so
Yeah,
gross.
Luther Burden. And I'm thinking that this is going to be a defensive player for the Chiefs. Whether that
Also be running back, maybe.
Or, yeah, okay. So what kind of running backs do we like for the Chiefs?
Like Caleb Johnson is pretty head and shoulders above the rest of these guys for me right now. I'm not super familiar with what the Chiefs like to do, like run scheme wise. Try not to make Price too mad for Sunday, but if we're taking running back, I like Caleb Johnson here. I think he's the pretty clear leader out of this group for me.
And Drew, you were just the one talking. Ryan, any thoughts?
I'm not sure about running back here. I mean, they still have Pacheco. I'm not sure exactly what happened with him this year, but I mean, rookie year he was pretty damn good. I mean, I'm pretty high on Woody Marks, honestly. I feel like he's got a lot of juice coming out of the backfield. I mean, obviously, I watched him burst my Huskers, so he kind of tore us up. But yeah, no, I like running back for sure. But I think didn't they re-sign Kareem Hunt as well recently?
Yep.
I want to say, yeah. So I mean, I'm good with running back. Caleb Johnson wouldn't be bad here for sure. At almost the end of round 2. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Jay, how about you? What do you think for the Chiefs?
I say you got to go Caleb. He has a very good skill set to match up with them. He has a lot of power between his shoulders, but he also has a lot of an ability to get skinny through smaller holes.
Yes,
very, very unique.
He's so manipulative with his feet for second level defenders. He creates his own lanes with how smart he is as a runner. His vision's awesome. I love Caleb Johnson.
Yeah. I think that just is a perfect fit for what Reed kind of wants in terms of a back that can absolutely manipulate and make defenses' lives a living hell. That it feels like a good fit for him, and at an insane value that the Chiefs keep on getting away with it.
I know somehow.
Okay, so the Eagles took Walter Nolan at the end of round 1. What do we think of the Eagles are going to do? Is there a tight end that you like?
Yeah, that was. I feel like Gunnar Helm is the next guy for me. Between Gunnar Helm and Terrence Ferguson, they're close. I think I like Helm more. And they're losing Dallas Goedert, so I think Helm is what my vote would be.
And Ryan, what are your thoughts?
I'm not sure. I kind of honestly, if going back another year, I like Luke Lachey a lot. I mean, potential lightning in a bottle here at the end of round 2. I mean, obviously had a little bit of an injury issue, and then playing with an Iowa quarterback. I mean, not a ton you can get done, but I mean, I like him over Helm.
Okay. So Jay, do you think it's tight end or edge? Because they definitely need pass rush.
And they did just sign Azeez Ojulari for whatever that's worth. But
so we have Kennard is here.
Kennard is very interesting because he gives them that length, that speed off the edge. That they're a team that trusts their ability to develop these guys. They wouldn't have to have Kennard play for quite a bit, or at least outside of a rotational role. I feel like Kennard is a developmental edge for them would be very, very interesting.
And Drew, any thoughts on Kennard to the Eagles?
I think, again, they just signed Azeez Ojulari to bolster that edge depth. If we're going edge, I think they like a bigger body. Kennard is super technically advanced, but I don't think he's a very good athlete. I think you see what you get with him. He's not going to grow very much, but he has great hands. I think a Burge or a Jared Ivey, those really, really big body guys with a lot of power, could be a nice mix up to that edge room that has a lot of speed in it right now. So I'd probably say between one of those two guys or Helm for me.
Okay, and Ryan, you want to break the tie?
Let's see. We'll go Birch. He's a little bit bigger of a body and can probably go down into defensive tackle and replace a little bit of what Milton Williams is leaving as well. So,
okay. So the Giants are on the clock. They've done Milroe. And I think it was Hunter. Yes, they've done Hunter and Milroe. We haven't touched their offensive line yet. Who's the best offensive lineman on the board? Is it Ratledge?
It might be
for interior, I think so.
Ratledge is here. Miles Frazier is here. Who was and Drew? Was it Logan Brown?
He's a tackle for me, not a guard, but he's far and away the highest rated offensive lineman for me on the board. If we're going interior, it's probably between Miles Frazier and Jalen Rivers for me. But
so Jay, how high do you have Logan Brown?
Logan Brown, I kind of have him in that round 4 range, but he'd be an interesting fit for them. I like Jonah right here. I feel like
Who do you like? I didn't hear you.
Jonah
Savaiinaea. So Ryan, you want to break the tie?
So it's between Savanea and who else? Sorry.
Logan Brown or even Tate Ratledge.
I'd probably go Savanea just for the upside. I mean, obviously.
Okay, so the Chiefs took Caleb Johnson, and then I think we gave him Burden in round 1, right?
Yep. I feel like this has to be offensive line now. We've kind of gone long enough without giving them anything there.
As Price has pointed out, the Chiefs have drafted 4 offensive linemen in the last 2 years.
Yep.
Right. So they might need a tackle. So Drew, do you think you would go Logan Brown or Anthony Belton here?
Oh, that's a tough one. I fought back and forth on that one. I think Belton is just barely higher for me, but I love them both so much. I probably say Belton right here, but I don't think you can go wrong with either one of them.
So Jay, how about you? Who's your best tackle?
Ooh. Can you go over to the tackles right here just to check and see who we got left?
Sure.
Ozzie Trapillo right there is very, very tempting right there.
Yeah.
I'd probably say Ozzie.
And Ryan, you want to break the tie?
Yeah, I mean, we can go with Ozzie. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I like that pick for sure.
Browns are up. And they have 2 picks in round 3. They've done Ursary, and I believe they did Shadur. So it's Shadur and Ursary. What are we thinking?
I think this is another team that could be looking at running back too.
Yeah.
This is a really good fit for Kyle Kennard. Wide 9 with Jim Schwartz. And he's still on the board, I believe.
You can see that too. Yeah, he's there. Yeah, if you look at wide 9s, Josiah Stewart's probably, another guy that gets his name in the ring there.
Mm-hmm.
David Walker's still on the board, who I'm really high on.
Yeah.
I know there's some competition questions with him, but if we're going edge, I like Josiah Stewart, but also I think they could use running back too. So between those two,
Jay, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm thinking. I mean, Kennard is very interesting for that wide 9. Josiah Stewart. David Walker, though, he had some really impressive reps over at the Senior Bowl. Especially as the week went on. If they're not concerned about the level of competition, because let's face it, he blew the rest of those offensive linemen that he was competing against over at Central Arkansas just out of the water with his insane production. It was no contest. But he showed enough at the Senior Bowl that I think it's worth the hype a little bit for how fast he is and how strong he is for a undersized kind of guy. He has some really impressive hands.
So Ryan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I like Kennard here. I feel like he'd be a fast ball off the edge with Myles Garrett on the other side for sure.
Okay, we'll do that. Raiders. The Raiders. Siobhan Ravel and Ashton Genty.
Yeah, this is another team you could really needs receiver, really needs running back. I feel like it's probably a skill position. They really need some more juice on that offense. I think there's still a lot of talented receivers left right now, and running backs. I mean, there's 2 very, very good spots on the board.
Harris, Bond, Restrepo in round 3, Royals in round 3, Ricky White in round 3, Kyle Williams,
Jalen
Noel.
Yeah, I think again, highest on my board is Kyle Williams, but I know I'm way off consensus there too. I think Jalen Noel was the next for me after that. I love Jalen Noel. He's so explosive, such a great separator, plays way bigger than he is. He's got inside outside versatility.
Yep.
Noel's on.
We got to vote for Noel in the chat.
Are we completely off the idea of potentially a quarterback? I mean, how many years are you going to get out of Geno Smith?
That's
1,
true.
2. I mean, Jackson Dart. I mean, obviously the connection with Will Howard here with old Chip Kelly, but that's a little far fetched for me. But I mean, Jackson Dart here would be in my mind.
I like the call on the quarterback here. Trenton, what would you do? Wide receiver or quarterback? Drew, do you want to break the tie between wide receiver and quarterback?
I mean, I'm always going to go receiver because I don't have any faith in any of these quarterbacks outside of the board.
So you want to go Noel?
That would be my vote, yeah.
Any objections, Jay?
Nope.
Nope, none at all.
Okay, Patriots are up. The Patriots have done
Carter and
Calvin Banks,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was Abdul Carter, I believe.
Yep.
Abdul Carter, Calvin Banks. They need a skill position like it's going out of style.
Yeah, probably another receiver here goes. A little bit of run
Yeah.
on receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Like Royals is still here.
This Restrepo is still
Restrepo's still here. Like that feels too far. For
Yeah.
Restrepo.
Yeah, Restrepo needs to be gone like yesterday.
There we go. Jaguars are up.
All teams get in, but good pick.
So, Ryan, this one's all used. The Jaguars.
Taking Mason Graham.
Mason Graham and Mika Ibuka.
Okay, so tackle and wide receiver. Let's see. Benjamin Morrison's still available here. I mean, they still need cornerback help, I'd say. I mean, they're not really sure exactly what they're going to do with Jarian Jones. Obviously signed guy whose name's escaping me from the Cowboys, Jordan Lewis. But Morrison would be a potential good pickup here, I think.
You like Morrison?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Saints are up.
Third time around is this Jackson Dart. On the third time's the charm on Jackson Dart.
I'm okay with that if that's what we decide to do. So it's Simmons and Io Manor.
It feels like at a certain point you just got to take the value swing.
Yeah.
Even if I don't like him as a prospect.
Yeah, I mean, if there's ever a team that's going to have to make the swing, I feel like the Saints are one of those teams. So
Yeah, I mean, with that roster, I mean, they're going to be probably not have a good record after 7 weeks, and then you can see what you have with Dart. So
the Bears have done Izaraku, Hairston, Henderson. Is this Darius Alexander?
Very well could be. Hey, that's
Or is there
probably,
an edge that we like better?
Are we looking at an edge right now?
Oh, wait,
I
did
think
they were the one that did Izaraku?
Yeah, they were.
Yeah,
So I think like Alexander feels really, really nice right here. That upside and that athleticism this late.
Yeah.
The age doesn't really bother me. I think his tape's awesome. Tested out of this world. He should be going a lot higher than he is.
get day one impact immediately.
Yep.
Yeah, I really like that pick.
The Jets are up in round 3, and Scourton in round 2.
And Mimbo, right?
Yeah, they took
And Membu. So they've done Membu and Scourton.
Feels like probably another receiver, right? They need somebody opposite Garrett Wilson. That receiver room's pretty empty outside of him.
Gunnar Helm
Could also be Gunnar Helm. That feels really good here for a team that's pretty desperate for tight end help. Go Trey Harris. Trey Harris probably should have gone by now. I'd say between Trey Harris and Gunnar Helm.
Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I like Trey Harris here. He's a little bit further up on my board, so for sure I feel like he should be gone.
And Jay, I see you not in your head, yes?
Yeah, Trey, you're going to New York, baby.
Okay, so the Panthers have done Pupal
And Shamar. Yeah.
and Shamar Stewart. Is there a corner here that you like?
Could also be corner, yeah. I love Noel Williams, man. He's just
Yeah. Cool.
I'm comfortable taking him in this range. He's such a massive frame, long arms, super aggressive. The punch is unbelievable. He guesses wrong a lot, but when he guesses right, he's going to cave somebody's rib cage in. It's he's my favorite type of corner. I love Noel Williams, one of my favorite guys in this whole class. He's my highest corner left right now. So
What do you think, Ryan?
You sold me, Drew.
there we go.
Let's go with Noel.
Jay, any additional thoughts or counterpoints?
Yeah, Noel could have gone about 20 picks earlier, and I would have done
agree.
better than I. So let's get him off the board. Let's end the runs on some of these guys going way too late.
Yep. So we've got the 49ers up, and
This
we
feels
got
like it should be
Darian
linebacker,
Porter
right?
in round 2,
And Harmon, I
and
think.
we did Derek Harmon. So Derek Harmon, Darian Porter. Is this receiver?
Could be, but I think they got a really big hole at inside linebacker after losing Dre Greenlaw, and there's been like no inside linebackers off the board. Like Carson Schwarzenegger is still there.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger, he's a top 40 player on my board. I think he should be the pick right here.
Yeah, I love Schwarzenegger as well.
That's there for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Dallas.
Another team that desperately needs inside linebacker. I think you could double up right here. Go like maybe Demetrius Knight for them because Demarion Overshawn had a horrible knee injury. They don't really have anybody in that room outside of him. Still a lot of talent left on that board.
Yep. So Dallas has done Will Campbell and Jaden Higgins, and they do need a linebacker, and Knight is here. Any objections to Knight?
Oh, just giant frame, like huge arms. It's like a little bit of a throwback of a linebacker with just how big he is, but he also has some very interesting coverage instincts as well. I don't think he has like the quickest hips of the linebackers in terms of flipping them in coverage, but he reacts very well in coverage. I'd go for Knight right there for sure.
Okay. So the Patriots are up. They've done Abdul Carter, Kelvin Banks, and then earlier in this round they did Xavier Restrepo. Is this an offensive lineman?
Yeah, I think you could probably go into
Ratledge
Ratledge probably shouldn't have fallen this far.
Yeah, Ratledge, get off the board. You need to be gone like yesterday. I hate that the Patriots are getting such good picks, but guys got to fall where they got to fall.
So the Cardinals are up, and the Cardinals did Alfred Collins in round 2. And Will Johnson. So Will Johnson and Alfred Collins. Is this an edge?
Probably. I think so.
What edges are here that you like? Like, are we still talking about Ivy, or is there a different edge like JTT?
I think you got to go with kind of a smaller, twitchier guy after you took Darius Robinson last year. Josiah Stewart still feels like the guy that jumps off the page to me. I know David Walker's still here. We didn't take him, did we? I think he went. No, he's still on the board.
Walker is still available.
I'd probably say Stewart. I think he fits. Gives them some new juice off the end right there. Super twitchy, wide 9 guy. Some size concerns, but he's mean as hell. Great run defender. He's diverse pass rushing back. He's awesome.
We got to shout out Halil because there's a 7-hour time difference.
Yeah, it's like 4 in the morning for that guy. He's grinding in here.
He's in Austria right now, so that's like 3 or 4 in the morning. So Halil,
shout out Halil.
Halil, thank you for refusing sleep and wanting to watch us. We appreciate it, man.
So Jay, what do you think as far as edges go for Arizona here?
I kind of lean David Walker. I mean, the upside is clearly there. Granted, not the level of competition in terms of on tape that you see, but he really impressed me in Mobile. He had some good answers as well. I think he has a good head on his shoulders. I think he far outplays this level of competition. He showed loyalty by sticking around. He had plenty of higher level offers. He just refused them all because he wanted to finish what he started in Central Arkansas.
I love David Walker. He's awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So, Ryan, you're up for Houston. They've done Jack Bech in round 2 after doing
Connerly, I think, for Houston, right?
Was it Connerly? Yes, they've done Connerly and Bech.
Connerly and Bech. Let's see. So, do they have a corner opposite Stingley? I'm trying to think of who.
Yeah, they did Lassiter last year, I think, didn't they?
Yeah, Kamari Lassiter.
Yeah, that's right, from Georgia. Yeah, okay.
So, from a defensive standpoint, like defensive line, Peebles is still here.
I think they invested a lot
Farmer
in that defensive
is
line
still
recently.
here.
There's a lot of talent there, but they've invested a lot in that D line. Like that's another place you could look at interior linebacker. I don't know how many inside linebackers to lift on the board at this point, but that's a pretty big hole for them. I think you could also look back at receiver because we didn't, or no, we gave them Bech. Never mind.
Yeah.
but interior offensive line is still a big hole there. Yeah,
You're more of an interior lineman who specializes in coverage, or more of a kind of traditional linebacker for them.
Yeah, honestly, with how much the once that kind of top group of interior.
See, I thought Austria was 7, but apparently it's only 5 hours.
Yeah, I think with the run that kind of happened on inside linebackers, I like interior offensive line here. They still have a big hole at guard. There's still some talent left on the board.
Brandon in the chat is telling me to look at running backs. If you guys did a running back for the Texans, who would you do? Ryan, any thoughts?
That's really interesting.
That's true. They could use a running back.
I do like DJ Giddens, but might be a little bit rich for him here.
And he said Judkins. Any objections to Judkins?
I mean, Judkins has probably the meanest stiff arm in this entire class. He just brings a lot of power. And I know us AFC South fans are a little traumatized by running backs who have amazing stiff arms. But, except for Drew, the lack of the trauma, sir.
You guys still claim him even though he's on the Ravens? I mean,
I will do it forever. I don't care.
So, Jay, you are up for the Colts. Jihad Campbell, Mason Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Talk us through what's going through your mind right now.
Well, the top need that they have available left is guard. But they do also have they might be interested in keeping who they have right there. Goncalves is a tackle, and he's been a tackle his entire career. However, because of his shorter arms, a lot of people coming in were saying maybe he could shift over to guard, so he might be their answer. Grant could be interesting there. Personally, if we're not going offensive line here, they could also go defensive interior just because they need to plan for the future beyond, of course, Buckner and Grover Stewart, as both are on the wrong side of 30, and the depth behind them isn't really that inspiring. Peebles is screaming at me right there. They want more of an interior rusher. You could go like CJ West out of Indiana as a nose tackle depth would be.
There's a lot of talent here.
Mm-hmm.
Farmer Caldwell as well. I'm going to go Peebles.
I love it.
Yeah.
He's my highest ranked. I left on the board with this group. Peebles is just so much fun, man. Like that smaller frame, he wins the leverage battle immediately.
And you sniped him because I would have recommended him for the Bengals. I know that the Bengals guys that watch the channel love him.
Well, either way, he's sticking in the Midwest. So welcome to Indy, Peebles.
So Xavier Watts in round 2 with Kenneth Grant in round 1. This has to be an edge.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Do we like Sawyer or JTT better? Or is there somebody you want Josiah Stewart?
Stewart's higher for me. I'm really low on both the Ohio State guys.
Yeah.
So, Ryan, where are you in Stewart?
Yeah, I like him better than Sawyer and JT for sure. I mean, they've kind of had a little bit of a track record with having the smaller guys come off the edge with like a Carl Lawson and those type of guys. So, yeah, I'm all on board with Stewart here.
I was about to say Rob. Jay, any objection?
And my last name's Robin, so you're close enough. But, yeah, I would have Stewart over both the Ohio State guys. Man, Ohio State, both of their edge rushers, they scream great college players, but pro, I just don't see the translation quite to that next level.
They're just neither one of them are good athletes, which is
so Drew, when you podcast on Sunday, make sure that you tell Heather that you have Josiah Stewart from Michigan over the 2 Ohio State edges. I'm sure that's going to go over really well. I'm sure it's going to go over really well. Seattle, this is the first of their 2 third-round picks.
Man, they have 2 in the second and 2 in the third.
Yeah, so they have a lot of draft capital. They've done Gray Zabel, Donovan Jackson, which were preceded by Nick Emmanwori. So
yeah, I think you're still looking for a big body receiver.
Pass rusher or receiver.
Yeah, you're still looking for a big body guy to play on the outside. I could also see pass rusher here. Pat Bryant and Torrey Horton are both really good options for the outside. I know Torrey Horton's coming off a pretty scary injury. Much better athlete than Pat Bryant, but I think Bryant's a little bit more polished. He's a good separator, especially for his size. He gets off line of scrimmage well, doesn't struggle with press man, big at the catch point. But I think I like Horton and Bryant here, either one.
Ryan, any thoughts?
I like Pat Bryant here for sure. Having seen him live when they played Nebraska here this year, he's a big target out there.
Okay, so this is Pittsburgh's second pick because they didn't have a second round pick. And in round 1, Pittsburgh went with Tyreek Williams.
Yeah.
So they need a corner. They need a slot corner and
Jacob Parrish. Jacob Parrish.
Parrish.
Absolutely. One of my favorite guys in this whole class. The recovery speed is a concern on tape, which is why it shocked me that he ran so well in Indianapolis. But, man, he's so feisty, so sticky in man coverage. I'm not sure how much chance he'll get to play press man in the slot, but he can press the hell out of somebody too.
Now, I will say as well, if we're talking about nickel corners, one of my favorites of the class, Upton Stout.
Upton Stout, yes, sir.
He is severely underrated by national media.
I'm a big fan of him too.
Oh my gosh, as sticky as they come, and plays so much bigger than his size. He is just a feisty guy.
Well, Upton Stout to the Buccaneers, is Upton Stout boundary or slot?
He is nickel through and through.
And that was what I was thinking. Do the Buccaneers need a nickel?
I don't, to my knowledge, they don't have like a great one, but I think.
Yeah, so Silas, we are in round 3.
Yeah, where did we go these first 2 rounds with them? I know we got
so they
Warren,
did
and then
Tyler Warren fell to them.
We got an edge in the second, right?
And round 2 to the Buccaneers was Princely.
Yeah.
So
I think you could look for
I think they need linebacker, but they could also use a corner. I'm just not sure if they need a slot.
Yeah, they really need linebacker. But again, I think like after you hit that like Schlesinger and Demetrius Knight, there's a really big cliff there for me. Yeah, I don't know how much help. They could use some at DB for sure. I think they could use outside and nickel for whatever it's worth. I think you're looking between there and receiver.
Do we like Stout here?
Yeah, I feel like they
here. I like it.
Still got Levante David, and they just picked up Anthony Walker, so probably kick the can down the road a little bit for the linebacker need.
This
so
has got to be
Andy, I'm curious if you're still listening. The Broncos are on the clock. The Broncos in round 2 went Savion Williams, and then in round 1 they did Omarion Hampton. So they've done Hampton.
If I know Andy, I'm betting he's going to go into your defensive line here. I mean, there's so much talent left. Like you have Joshua Farmer, you have Jamari Caldwell, CJ West, Jordan Phillips, Shamar Turner. I mean, the list just really goes on. I'm a little bit lower on Deion Walker, but he's there.
Yeah.
Massive.
Farmer's my favorite of this group, I think. Him or Jamari Caldwell.
I like Farmer.
Yeah,
Farmer's just got such a high ceiling, man. He's such an explosive athlete, 35-inch arms. Like, the ceiling is just like the sky is the limit with him.
And Ryan, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I like Farmer as well. He's kind of that happy medium of power and speed, honestly, between some of the other guys that are out there right now.
So Jay, how about you?
Man, I'm a big Caldwell guy, but I do see it with Farmer with that insane length and the athleticism. I'm just a really big Caldwell guy, but I know we're taking Farmer right here.
Yep.
There we go.
So the Chargers are up, and Jay in round 2.
Arroyo, right?
They did Arroyo, and in round 1.
In round 1, Tet, right?
Tet, yep.
Feels like they got to go offensive line.
Yeah, offensive line would make sense for them right here.
But don't they need a corner as well?
They did just – Asante has not re-signed. I don't think he will. He gets some big medical red flags. You could go DB as well.
Dorian Strong is here.
Noah
Dodson, Denzel Burke, Zy Alexander.
Is Kobe Bryant still here? I don't remember calling his name.
He's still here.
I think he is. Yeah.
Kobe Bryant probably should have gone a lot earlier.
I'm liking Quincy Riley right here out of Louisville.
And I like Quincy Riley here as well. Yes, so Kobe Bryant is still here, yes.
That's probably my vote.
So is Quincy Riley boundary or slot for you guys?
Boundary for me.
Boundary.
Yeah, me too.
Boundary. Okay. So Riley or Bryant? Ryan.
We'll go with Kobe.
Okay, and Drew, I know your vote. Jay,
I'm going Riley, but yeah.
you'd go Riley. Okay. Everybody gets the vote. That doesn't mean that your vote wins, but everybody gets the vote. Right?
Okay.
So the Packers are up. They've done Azarai Thomas.
And Arkansas.
And then
Landon
Landon Jackson. Yes, Landon Jackson.
Yeah.
So
Got to go receiver here, right?
this has to be receiver. Is this Ty Felton?
I can see Felton here. I can see Torrey Horton meets those like the Brian Maffey requirements a lot more. He's a really big, fast, great athlete.
Just the only question is how.
Yes, and because he meets the thresholds, I like that pick.
I would say.
Yeah, I like that.
That's always in the back of my mind. Every time I pick for the Packers, it's just Brian Maffey yelling at me. So.
And I try to do the same thing. Like that's the great thing about being with the draft professors, right? We get to learn about how every team drafts. That's the idea. So Ryan, this one's all you with Jacksonville on the clock in round 3.
So we take Mason Graham, took who was that second round pick?
Amiga, right? Egbuka, I think.
Yep, and then Benjamin Morrison the third. So who's available here for tight ends?
Helm is still here.
Gadsden Helm.
I like Gunnar Helm. I feel like he kind of fits that being able to run and block kind of tight end that I feel like they want by them signing like Hunter Long and the other guy, forget his name, Johnny Munt. And then obviously you got Brenton Strange. So yeah, take Gunnar Helm here. He'll be a super solid, probably second tight end for the time being, and we forge ahead.
And hey, Brandon, I don't think this is too early for Kandra. So Brian. So Brandon is texting in Luke Kandra. So just out of curiosity, Ryan, where do you have Kandra on your board? That'll be the pick, but where do you have Kandra?
I'm a little bit lower on him. I'd say he's probably around like more of a fourth rounder.
Okay. And Jay, how about you? Where do you have Kandra?
I've been kind of like bouncing forth between him and a few other guys. So he's kind of in this like tier of like pick 95 to like 120 on the board. So I think it's a little early for him, but I don't hate it though.
Okay. And then Drew, do you want to explain to Brandon the Luke Kandra project, which was your first?
Yes, that was awesome. My first podcast
right?
was a scouting report of the entire Cincinnati offensive line, and I think I gave them all undrafted free agent grades. I've come around a little bit on Kandra, not much. He's still a late fifth, but he's higher than he was.
Yep.
Kandra, he's like super stocky. Lower half is built like a tree trunk. Like he's huge. He's got a lot of power. I just don't think he moves very well. I think his mirror is really concerning. I'd like for him to be better with his hands a little bit, but he's super, super strong, really strong in the run game. And the guard depth is kind of thinned out. So I don't think it's that crazy of a reach.
Yep. So Brandon, I like the Luke Kandra pick. And Brandon, if you have a couple of extra minutes, if you go to the YouTube channel and find the offensive line playlist, find the episode where we covered Luke Kandra. It was Owen and Newt, and they're Thursdays at 9:00. They're actually the ones coming out in 45 minutes. But check out when they did Luke Kandra, because Newt loves Luke Kandra. He has Kandra in his top 50. So this is the range for Kandra is going to be somewhere around 3 to round 5, as the panel indicated. So I'll just point that out. If you like Luke Kandra, there's definitely content about him on the channel. We've covered him more than once. And then Silas, I'm actually a Bills fan too. The Bills took Matthew Golden round 1, TJ Sanders round 2, and the safety from Penn State, Kevin Winston in round 2. And Silas, rounds 4 and 5 of this draft will be Sunday night. So you will see some of the same faces on the podcast Sunday night. Okay, so the Rams are up. This is their second pick.
Who did they go in round 1? Was it offensive line?
Colston
No,
Loveland.
Colston Loveland. Okay.
This is either wide receiver or DB.
Yeah, DB was my first thought. They got a big hole at corner.
Is it Quincy Riley?
This could be Quincy Riley. There's another name. I really like Za Frazier. Zy Alexander's still here. I've got Bilal Cohn close to these guys, but I know that's another hotter take.
Drew, you're not alone on Cohn. Since you've pounded the table for him maybe a week ago, I have found out that Josh likes him here.
Me and Josh typically align on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and there's at least one other draft professor that is Cohn in this range. Jay, where do you have Cohn?
I have Cohn pretty high. I got to interview him twice at the Senior Bowl, caught up with him quite a few times. Really nice guy. He has a good head on his shoulders. He answered a lot of really good questions in terms of his tape. I really, really like Cohn at this spot.
So we will do Cohn.
There we go.
Ryan, where do you have Cohn?
I'd say probably around like the 4th round. So, I mean, not too far out of the realm of possibility here for him.
So we have 11 picks to go with the Ravens on the clock. The Ravens have done Wyatt Milam.
And they had edge the first round, right?
And Jalen Walker.
Yeah.
Jalen Walker, Wyatt Milam.
I think, just the endless need of receiver in Baltimore continues to be there. I know they signed DeAndre Hopkins, but, I don't think there's much left in that tank.
This wide receiver board is really good right now.
There's a lot of talent there. Like Royals still being there, Ty Felton still being there, Isaiah Bond still being there. I think Ty Felton's a weird one because I'm still in the middle of his eval right now, so I need to get 1 or 2 more games. There's a lot of guys who I really respect as evaluators who love him, and I just haven't quite seen it yet. So I'm a tiny bit lower on him, but I think Royals in the slot, but I think he's a damn good slot receiver.
Yeah.
I like you take the shot on Bond too. I know there's some injury and some character concerns there, but he's a really good athlete. So I think between anyone between Bond, Felton, and Royals here is a good pick.
I'd be comfortable with Bond, honestly.
Yeah.
Isaiah Bond. And I think we may have a run on receivers because I don't think Seattle has selected a receiver yet. We just did Pat Bryant.
Yeah.
We just did Pat Bryant. And then we did 2 offensive linemen.
I think they got to go pass rush here.
Yeah. Who did they get in round 1?
Emmanuel Worry.
Okay. Yeah, this has to be an edge.
Yeah. Let's see. We got an edge.
Oladejo is still here.
I love Femi Oladejo, man. I was kind of selfishly hoping he was going to fall at the top of the 4th for Tennessee. But I was purposefully not mentioning his name. JTT and Ivy are both still here. Those are guys that have.
He's trying to talk people out of Oladejo.
That's exactly what I'm trying to do. No. He's the highest on my board. I'll be honest. He's the highest edge rusher right here for me. But,
so Ryan, who's your best edge rusher here?
I like Jared Ivey.
Ivy's a lot of fun too.
Yeah, 6'6", 275. It's a lot of dude coming off the edge for them.
Yep. Jay, who's your best edge? You are the deciding.
Listen, these 2 are guys who I have had neck and neck on my boards, and I've gone back and forth between them. I'm gonna go Ivy. So maybe Oladejo falls to the Titans for you, Drew. Maybe. We'll see.
So the Saints are up with their
go off.
So the Saints did Jackson Dart, and the Saints did Alec Manor.
Yep.
And the Saints did. It was a Membu, I think.
Simmons, right?
No,
Simmons.
It was Simmons. So they've done Simmons, Manor, Dart, Is this a wide receiver or a corner?
I think they probably need defense. Like you got a lot. Like they probably do still have a need at receiver, but I think you got Rashid Shaheed coming back from injury. Like you're good enough there. I think you probably got to go defense.
Fannin?
I mean, again, could be not for me personally. I'm very low on Fannin, but I think the need for tight end is there.
And it could be a running back as well. So what are you thinking, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I'm thinking running back potentially, maybe like a Dylan Sampson, home run hitter that, could obviously take over for Kamara once he's done here, probably within another year or two.
Jay, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, running back, Sampson's the home run hitter. Scatterbo doesn't quite have that long speed, but he is crazy elusive, and he was a very prolific pass catcher this past year. So if they want to use him in some ways similar to what like Kamara was used as, then maybe. Tootin has probably the most fun tape out of any of these running backs, in my opinion. The only problem is that those fumble concerns are.
If his hands worked, he'd be so good, man.
Oh my gosh! If he could hold on to the ball, he would be going much higher on these boards. But he was like fumbling once every 40-something.
Yeah. And see, my problem too is if it was just the ball security issues, I can get over that because the NFL can fix that. The problem is it's ball security and drop issues. So there's clearly something with the hands, which is what worries me.
He has very small hands and shorter forearms as well, which compounds the issue. You can't fix hand size and short forearms, just biologically speaking. So,
if we're thinking running backs, Damian Martinez is next for me. But again, I don't know how popular of a take that is. Out of this group, I have Scatterbo the highest.
Yeah, Scatterbo is the highest, but I do really like the fit with Sampson.
Okay, so we like Sampson here. So the Browns are up. I don't think we've done running back for them.
We have not.
No.
And again, I'll throw Damian Martinez back out there. He's my RB5.
True. And if you're looking for a guy to be a successor to Chubb in terms of stylistically, Martinez would make the most sense.
Yeah,
Ryan, any thoughts?
Yeah, I like Martinez. I mean, 6'2", 225, I think. So, yeah, I mean, he would definitely dot the I in the I formation for them for sure.
Okay, Casey is up.
They already took a running back, so we're not going to go.
We finally get no more running backs. Did we get them on offensive lineman? We did, didn't we?
I think so.
Yeah. Was it Belton?
We did Trapilo, Caleb Johnson, and then I think it was Luther Burden.
Yeah, Burden.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would this be Harold Fannin backing up Travis Kelce?
I mean,
Jay,
that would be the first.
You laughed. What do you think of that?
I mean, Fannin would be a very interesting fit in terms of they moved him around so much at Bowling Green, where he was lining up at wide receiver, he was lining up at slot, he was lining up sometimes in the backfield or as the H-back. He'd be very interesting for Reed to kind of see where he can use him best. But if you're looking for a natural successor to Kelce, I don't think there's one really available at this point amongst the tight end group. Gadsden was probably my favorite one. It's just a question of injuries and the recent tape is not nearly as good as what it used to be.
Ryan, what are your thoughts with Casey? I think they could go pretty much any direction here, which might also include corner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I like the tight end position for sure. I have Gadsden over Fannin, just simply based on, athleticism. I feel like Fannin is athletic, but I feel like Oronde Gadsden's a little bit bigger and probably has a little bit more long speed.
And then, Drew, you get to break the tie.
If we're picking tight ends, I'd probably say
you can go any position you want.
I think outside corner is the biggest need for them right now.
And which outside corner do you like?
I know we got some guys down the board.
Riley is still here.
Riley and Alexander are both nice outside DBs. Riley, former track guy, he's got it there. I like Riley here for them.
Okay.
I'd probably vote Riley as well. That's been a guy I've been counting for quite a few picks now.
So the Eagles are up at the end of round 3. They have done Birch and Nolan. So they've done Walter Nolan, Jordan Birch,
This feels like Terrence Ferguson to me.
Yeah, he's my top tight end on the board. I think him and Gadsden amongst this next tier for a tight end. But yeah, I love Ferguson's tape in terms of he
Just
just
a lot
was
of fun.
very, very good at manipulating defensive players. He had great routes, reliable hands. I like that pick for.
He's just a jack of all trades. He's super well rounded. He does everything well. There's really no weakness to his game.
So Ryan, any thoughts?
Yeah, no, I like that. He fits that mold of the kind of the all around tight end that they typically employ on offense.
So one of the things I love about this format, and specifically Drew and Jay, you guys just hit it on the head. Like, as you guys are jumping around from position to position, you actually had the same player highest on your board, right? Like, you both have, you said like Ferguson in this case higher than Gadsden and Fannin for this team. That's why I love this format. So thank you for making me happy.
We'd love to make you happy, my friend.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
This
so
feels
the
like we go
Vikings-
back to interior defensive line. I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talent there. They don't have a lot of picks. They need a lot of help there.
So the Vikings did Trey Amos, but they need a running back.
They did just trade for Jordan Mason. So you know,
But
Yeah.
I don't think
I don't know if
Jordan
he's a
Mason
one, but-
prevents you from taking Taj Brooks, Ollie Gordon, Devin Neal.
I mean, maybe not, but I just think with them, they have such a severe lack of draft capital and such
Okay.
a deep running back class. Like, you have to wait for that. And they weren't the ones that signed Reed, were they? At D tackle? That was somebody else?
They signed two. They signed one
Did
from
they?
Washington.
Okay, it
and
was
they
them.
signed one
Jonathan
That's right.
Allen.
Jonathan Allen, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So yeah, that is not a need anymore. I'm glad I remembered that. I think interior offensive line is a big need for them as
Yeah.
well.
So do you guys like Miles Frazier, Dylan Fairchild, Jalen Rivers, Logan Brown here?
I really
Rivers-
I know what Drew likes.
Listen, he's a tackle for me, not a guard. So I'm a little bit different there, but he is by far my highest rated lineman left. For guard, I have Rivers and Frazier about tied. They're pretty much the same grade for me here.
Jay, what are your thoughts?
I'm leaning Rivers. Frazier, though, has a very interesting profile that could fit very well with them. But I will say they did address offensive line in a big way by getting both Ryan Kelly and Will Fries. So I don't know.
They did sign Will Fries too. You're right. I was just completely sleeping on all their
I
free
don't know
agency
if
guys.
they would go guard quite here. Like, if we're looking at like best player available on the board overall right now, like I can see them still going running back with Scatabo here.
That's true. I forgot that those were really the two biggest holes were interior line on both sides of the ball when they went out and balled in free agency and kind of plugged those holes. So I can see running back a lot more now. I've forgotten about the moves they made.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody available at safety potentially for? I mean, Harrison Smith's what, like
That's
30,
there too. They did lose. They
37?
lost Cameron Bynum. Is Makuba still there? Makuba's still there.
Very interesting free safety for him.
Yeah, I probably like Makuba here.
I like that pick too.
Okay. I like that. You see two people converge. You just let people start talking. They figure it out. Miami on the clock.
They go Booker in second, right? Booker and Starks, I think.
Yep, that sounds right.
I think Booker and Starks is correct. So Booker round 2 and it was Starks round 1.
Mhm.
They need defensive line and offensive line. Even with drafting an offensive lineman, it's still.
If you're looking at tackle, Logan Brown's sitting right there to get a tackle opposite of Patrick Paul. I think there's still some pretty good interior defensive linemen left if you want that.
I like being the podcast that took Logan Brown in round 3 because nobody's talking about it.
I would take Logan Brown in top 50.
Yes, and I know that Drew likes pounding the table, so we're going to do Logan Brown, and when Twitter erupts, I'm going to tag Drew.
Send him my way. I've got it locked and loaded.
So the Giants are up at the end of round 3. The Giants have made 3 picks, which include Jonah Savanea,
Milroe and Hunter, right?
Milroe, and Travis Hunter. Pass rusher, corner, I'm
Yeah,
definitely leaning if we think that there's a corner here we like.
This corner board's
I
drying
don't-
up quick. So I think you're like Cy Alexander's kind of your last guy here, I think. Like in this range that I love. Zoff Razor's fallen further than I think he will in April, honestly.
So, Ryan, who are you thinking for the Giants?
Well, yeah, I mean, corner's a possibility. I mean, I feel like they are still kind of dry at running back. I mean, they got the guy from Purdue last year who kind of showed out this year, but I mean, depending upon
Cam Scadaboo is still here.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
and Tyrone Tracy would be a
That'd be a fun backfield.
yeah.
yeah, you want to
Okay, there we go.
Milrow out.
3 picks to go. 49ers.
This they got to go back to offense, right? They need a receiver. They've gone like 3 defense, I think, because it was Schlesinger, Harmon, and is that it? Yeah. So,
And we got
receiver-
Porter.
Porter, that's right.
Harmon, Porter, Schlesinger.
yeah, it's got to be a
So,
receiver here, I think.
I like what we've done with defense, and you're saying receiver.
Could also be running back. You know, CMC's kind of on his last leg there in San Fran, but like there's still a lot of talent at receiver here. Like Felton and Royal still being there is kind of crazy.
49ers hate the fact that Scadabo went 1 pick ago.
Yeah, that
Like, we need someone to replace our great white running back.
I think like with Pearsall, he's got versatility inside outside, so I think you can afford a Royals pick here. I think Felton's got a little bit more flexibility in where he plays, but I don't think neither one of these guys are awesome athletes, but they're both good separators. I think Felton fares a little bit better against press than Royals does, but I think both these guys are close for me. I like either one of Felton or Royals here.
Ryan, what are your thoughts?
I like Felton a little bit more, especially if you ultimately end up shipping Brandon Ayuk out of town. I mean, he's coming off a ACL anyway, so yeah, I'd be good with Felton here.
And Jay, you got the final call.
Personally, I like Royals better, and I think that the 49ers are not afraid to go for a guy who they might have some injury concerns.
Okay, so the Rams are up,
Your tape a lot.
and the Rams have done Cone, and then I've already forgotten. who they did.
Loveland in the first.
So because they did Loveland, Cone. Is there a linebacker we like this late?
What do we have left on the
Or-
board right now?
Could maybe go like a Barrett Carter if you're looking for pure like coverage ability at linebacker. There's Bassa, the safety convert, but I haven't been as impressed with his pre-draft process.
What's
Are we
the
going-
linebacker board looking like?
Are we going wide receiver here?
I think you got to look at D line for them too. They desperately need run help at defensive
Do
line.
they?
Yes,
They've
they're
got four. They got Braden Fisk. They got Jared Verse.
They have awesome pass rush, but they have nobody who can defend the run. Fisk and Kobe Turner both are virtually useless in the run.
Are you thinking Caldwell?
Caldwell could be awesome. Like Jordan Phillips, I think he's a good run stopper. I think CJ West can go there too. Jay Toya is a good run defender as well. He's a fun name. I think Caldwell's probably your best bet here. Get somebody in that nose tackle role, just eat up gaps.
Yep.
I like that for them.
6'2", 330. He'll eat up a guard.
And he
center.
can move for 330, man. It's scary.
He is a
Like
great
he's
athlete for interior guy.
Okay. And now our Mr. Irrelevant at the end of round 3 for the Lions.
I think this could be, they've gone, they went Bo and Michael Williams, I think it was.
Bo and Michael Williams. That is correct. Are we thinking Ty Felton?
They could go receiver. They're kind of like, outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jameson Williams, who's, got some injury stuff. You're
Kyle Williams?
I think he's too similar to what they already have. They need a little bit of a bigger guy. I think Ty Felton would be a really fun fit there.
Ricky White?
I'm a little bit lower on White too, but I think he's also a smaller body.
Yeah.
I think Felton's awesome value here for them.
Okay. Jay, what are your thoughts?
I'd like Felton. What else did we get for them with the Lions?
Mike Hill and Marcus Bowe.
I still can see that as a possible corner as well.
Can see that too.
Where are we at with Dayon Walker? I know he's obviously got the concerns about motor and
the back injury is concerning too. He had a major
heavy.
back injury. I will say I think the back injury probably answers some of your pad level questions, which is something there. And he's massive frame. I could definitely see DB.
Tommy Williams is interesting. Eric Carter, CJ West.
A lot of places you go with this pick because they're picking for luxury. They're picking BPA. They don't have too many needs. You could also look to bolster like some interior defensive line depth. They had some guys. Their top guys went down, and they didn't really have anybody in the back. The fact that Anthony Belton is going to falling out of the top 100 is crazy to me.
Honestly, I'm going to say CJ West. With how many
CJ West, that was what I was. Him or Jordan Phillips were the two that I had in my head.
Yeah.
Like CJ West?
I think that's a great pick.
Yeah. Just go BPA.
Yep. So, Brandon, why is Cam Williams dropping so far? He's a very raw tackle.
I think Cam Williams and me and Parker have talked ad nauseum about this guy. Those are great podcasts, by the way. That's something you should go check out. Cam Williams plays a lot smaller than he is. He's got really long arms. He's got a massive frame, but he doesn't use it very well. And like you said, it's raw. I think he could have used another year in school to kind of learn how to use his length a little bit better. I think the foot speed, like the athleticism is there, but I don't know if he knows how to use the foot speed. He struggles to mirror a little bit. The anchor is concerning for his size. I think he gets those guys into his frame. He gets bull rushed way too much for being 330 pounds, whatever he played at. I know he came in a lot lighter in Indy. His combine weight was better than his playing weight. But I think he's just really, really raw. And I don't know if the athletic upside is enough to take a shot this early with how unrefined he is.
Cool. And Jay, do you have anything to add on Cam Williams?
Yeah, for the size that he plays at, he was on his back way too much. Like their contact balance was not there. He was giving up leverage way too easily. I can seriously question like his day two kind of like stats that a lot of people are trying to peg him at.
Yeah, both those Texas tackles had major balance issues.
Yeah, which is just it's wild because when Cam Williams went out, I think it was one of the semifinal games or something like that. They brought in an even bigger turnstile than him, which is actually pretty impressive.
They know how to pick them.
Yep, and I think the summary I'll give on Cam Williams is when you look at just like the height, weight, and body proportions, you see a tackle that's basically a ball of clay, but he's only played one season of tackle.
Yeah,
right.
He's
like
super
12
super
months
raw.
ago, we didn't know who Cam Williams was. At this time last year, we didn't know who he was.
I think Anthony Belton falling to the fourth round is way bigger of a question than Cam Williams.
Yeah, I think
that's a shocker to me.
Yeah, Williams, you draft him based off of what you think he can be, not based off of anything that you've seen on tape.
I agree.
Yep. And that that's the Parker Blake. He has traits. Draft him in round 4 guy.
Yep.
So, hey, you want to take a minute, Drew, introduce yourself and let everybody know where they can find you.
Yeah, for sure. I put out pretty much all my work, all my scouting reports, my film cut-ups, everything at Iron City Film on Twitter or X. I'm always on there talking ball 24/7, interacting with everybody. I do some writing for Stadium Rant. I do like Titans writing and draft writing. You find me on here a lot more this week than usual, but always here podcasting with Jim. You see me with Parker on Tuesdays, usually talking offensive line. It'll be me and Randall tomorrow emceeing the 32 GM mock draft, which everybody should be in here on. It's so much fun. We love to see everybody in here picking for their teams. And I think that's about it for me. If you want a sneak peek for Sunday, the first pick is going to be Kyle Williams to the Titans at the top of the 4th. So there's that for Sunday.
I love it. Ryan, this is your first time on the channel, Ryan.
Yeah.
And you said that this is also your first podcast ever, you said, right?
Well, yeah. I did one back when I was like 20 and I'm 35 now. So
Okay.
a little bit of a break there, but yeah, I know you can find me on Twitter, Huskbread78. Always interacting with the Jaguars fan base, defending Trevor Lawrence till my last breath, all the usual Jaguars things as we go 3-15 again. So.
And Jay, I think this is the third or fourth time you've podcasted with us.
Yep. It's get better every single time.
Yep. So feel free to introduce yourself and let everybody know how they can find your content.
Well, my name's Jay Robbins. I write for the Colts with Stampede Blue from Vox Media. And I also have a show called Draft Nerds with quite a few of me and Jim's mutual friends on there. But yeah, feel free to check out my work, and I'll be launching my own YouTube show very shortly. So keep an eye out for that new project that's coming out within the next couple months.
There we go.
So fantastic. So if you are not familiar with the Draft Professor, because I see a few new faces, so Silas Whittle, thank you for stopping by. I can see, Silas, you and I are going to go back and forth with a lot of different Bills takes. So I'm a Bills fan too, and you didn't agree with my picks here, but I'll take it. Like, I'll take the banter back and forth. It's all meant with respect. So Draft Professor, we have 2 podcasts a day, Monday through Thursday. So this was the warm-up act. In 15 minutes, we have Owen, Newt, and myself, and we're doing a mailbag. And Silas, Owen is also a Bills fan. Ironically, he is a scout at the University of Buffalo. And then he podcasts with us when he's like done going to class. So he's definitely a unique in a very good way from it's nice to have a scout on the channel, so to speak. Right. But anyway, we have 2 podcasts a day. As Drew said, we have a 32 team mock draft every Friday. So we urge you to come in. You will be able to be in the chat. You can draft for your team. Drew and Randall will be talking about every pick. On Sunday, we're going to do rounds 4 and 5 of this draft. So if you are watching this draft, we did rounds 1 through 3. We are going to do rounds 4 and 5 with Drew and
Price.
I knew it began with a P. It wasn't Parker. But Drew and Price are going to be doing rounds 4 and 5 of this same draft. So we get to talk about more players. The entire goal of the Draft Professor, we are going to cover players through round 5, the entire draft cycle. So you're going to be able to hear people talk about guys that you probably don't hear on other channels. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. But anyway, hit that subscribe. The best way you can say thank you is hit the subscribe on YouTube. Please and thank you. But for the 48 podcasters at the Draft Professor, for Ryan, our special guest, Jay, Drew, myself, thank you for watching, and we'll see you on a podcast again in about 10 minutes. Thanks, everybody.